confess that I come to the whole issue of sex as somebody who's not getting any. On the one hand, my parents tell me that it's the most wonderful thing that can happen between married people. And, well, on the other hand, I don't like the way that society usually deals with it. Don't like how some people can make such idiots of themselves when the subject comes up, and I don't like advertising that's always shoving sex in my face, trying to get me to buy something, as if everyone in our generation can only and forever think about one thing. If that's totally true, explain to me, please, how anyone ever gets into college. Now, I admit that in the blooming department, I was a late bud. I was still in t-shirts when all my friends were getting their bras, and, well, I was just getting into flossing when everyone I knew was getting their first kiss. And regarding guys, I am fussy. There are far worse things. But you can't just decide one morning you're gonna wake up and lower your standards so some guy can get all up in your hoot nanny. Situational ethics refers to a decision-making process based upon the circumstances of situation, rather than fixed criteria. Our society places heavy importance on context, and absolute principles are rare. It's easy to espouse absolute principles until they are tested, but some tests are simply unfair. Yet, it is the unfair test that will define our moral character. Extroversion by Joan Bauer. In school, we talked about abstinence and safe sex. I am definitely in the abstinence corner. All of those figures on sexually transmitted diseases and teenage pregnancy scare me. Okay, and there's this other thing too. I really want to wait until I'm married. That's just the right decision for me. So I was working the late shift at the Ice Cream Man Company. It's the first hot day of May and we're busy. And everyone's ordering double scoops tonight because they're in a festive mood due to the weather. My right arm feels like it's gonna fall off from digging into mocha java. I've got a spasm in my neck from the stress, but the show must go on, right? So I smile for the customers. Well, they don't want to think that their ice cream server has any problems whatsoever. I look up to see the growing line of ice cream lovers, and that's when he walked in. Tall, about 6'2", with dark hair and a day's beard, the plant kind. And muscles, but not like he spent all day lifting barbells. He ordered coconut, 2 scoops in a cup, which was wonderfully distinctive. And then he ate it at a table, watching me. He stayed until closing, and he asked if he could buy me coffee, which I totally never drink, but I went. We stayed up until 2 a.m. talking about absolutely everything. His name was Cal, and he was a freshman at Penn State. Oh, I hated telling him that I was still in high school, but I was a senior, an 18-year-old senior, i.e. functioning adult, and I emphasized that twice. We talked about music and art and traveling. We closed down that coffee bar. And that's how it began with Cal. We grew closer and closer. We saw each other every day. Our kissing got deeper. There was this fire to it. One time when we were kissing, he called me my Beth. No one in my whole life had ever called me that before. Never my common old name with a possessive pronoun in front of it. But then, a week later, Beth, I want you so much. We were in his dorm room. A bad move, I know. I hadn't really wanted to come here, but somehow here I was. His roommate was gone for the weekend. At first, we just sat in the bed eating chips and salsa. But then Cal pushed the chips out of the way and put the salsa on a shelf above the bed. And then we laid down, which took a real commitment, by the way, because his dorm bed was really short and narrow and probably picked out by mothers trying to make these situations as difficult as possible. And then Cal started kissing me, and it wasn't long before I found my resolve slipping. And then He rubbed his body into mine, and I felt heat in places that had heretofore remained at room temperature. My whole body was tingling, and my brain was just someplace else. And then when he took my face in his hands and kissed me deeper than I thought possible, and then when he stroked the back of my leg with his hands and told me that he loved me in his low, craggy voice, something about that just made me go wild with wanting him. I was finished. Electric shocks were hitting everywhere in my body. He rolled me onto my back and directly onto the bag of salted tortilla chips. I felt the entire Muchos Grande 64-ounce bag go crunch underneath me. Few people think about this in the heat of passion, but tortilla chips have very pointy edges. I have tortilla chips digging into my back, I said, and Cal hurled the bag across the room. And I guess somewhere between the crunch of Mexican food and my Catholic school upbringing, which basically teaches you that no matter where you are or what you're doing, 3 nuns can jump on the scene and just start screaming at you, I embraced this visual and somehow found the resolve to say, Cal, we need to stop. I pushed him away gently, but he wasn't getting the idea. No, Cal, this is too much.